on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, and good morning, viewers.
All right. Anyway, I will start. We'll look at Great North Road Academy because in the early 2000s, I remember interacting with you when Great North Road was just one campus at Great North, just opposite Impala. You and I we used to interact a lot. Then I was in college and very inspirational. How's the school doing?
I can say now we are talking about a group of schools. So
no, I want us to school now. Group of schools now. So the schools are doing fine. So we have 5 in total, and we have so meaning we are doing fine from the time we that was when we started up to now. Yes.
Yeah. So the schools have grown, and not only growing in terms of numbers, but we are also talking about quality. We are also talking about quality, and a lot is being done. If you are to be on the ground, skills and talent, of course, this is part of what we'll be discussing. And of course, we are also trying now to make sure that we shape our learners just to show them the way into the future. Talk about the AIs now that are being taught, and also now the attitude programs that we are introducing, because now life is all about attitude. So we are focusing now on the emotional development part of our learners, and we can say we are doing pretty good, and there's quite a lot of work that is being done, and we are proud of what we are doing as a school, and more especially that you were part and parcel of those people that really pushed us so hard when we were starting.
All right, Mr. Muyunda, you're back again. Not too long ago we were here, we were discussing the President's address, and you made some serious anticipation regarding how the budget will look like. The Minister of Finance has put aside 33 billion kwacha, which is allocated to the education sector. But maybe let's begin with NUPES, your union, which is the National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia. How is it doing, and how did your union receive the 33 billion kwacha which has been allocated to the education sector? Or maybe we look at the 253.1 billion kwacha total budget.
Thank you so much, President. Thank you so much for having me here, and it's true, this is the second appearance after the anticipation or expectations that we discussed last time. As a union, we are doing fine, and I think we are coming from the Teachers' Day celebrations. We put in a lot in terms of ensuring that our teachers celebrate their Teachers' Day in style. And in terms of representation, we are equal to the task, and preparing now for negotiations for the improved conditions of service for our members next year for 2026. The 2026 budget the 33 billion that was allocated to education. We do understand that development is a process. It's not an event where you say now we have reached where we want to be. It's a process. So that 33 billion that has been earmarked for the education sector for 2026, we compared it with the one that was allocated this year in 2025. We saw that indeed 2025 it was about 31.4 billion. Now there's an increase, and that increase I think is owing to a number of projects that the government would want to embark on. For example, the 300 million has been allocated to the implementation of the new curriculum, and that elated us, because at the end of the day we all agreed as a country that we needed to migrate from this lot training, memorization, into the kind of education where we can talk about practicality, hands-on education, children being able to apply in real life what they learn in schools. So this to us is actually a very expedient and progressive allocation to the education sector.
Okay. Doc, Mr. Muyumba just talked about the 300 million kwacha that has been allocated towards the new curriculum program. I know it's centered on the public education, and you being private. How do you think the new curriculum will impact the 5 schools that you have dotted across Lusaka? And I know, is the Livingston branch still open? Yes, and the Livingston one.
Yeah, so the beauty about the new curriculum is that it's more on the practical side. Yeah, than focusing so much on the memorization like what the president has stated here. And this is the direction that we have been, pushing. We have been pushing hard in that direction, because now we are now living in an era where the current crop of young people, where they are going one day, if they must survive, if they must earn a living, they must tap into their God-given talents. And I think this is an answer to the education system, the cry, in that now learners can tap into their God-given talents, especially on the part of the skills and talents, once they are in effect. And I think a lot more, and we are going to see quite a lot, because now learners will be able to graduate, or if they are done at grade 12 level, then they can be able to do something from what they would have learnt in school. And so when you look at that allocation, 300 million, that's a commitment on the part of the government, so that it's rolled out properly. And when you have a new program in place, it calls for serious campaigns, and it's an investment. And when you see an allocation like that one, it shows seriousness on the part of the government, and also willingness to ensure that we be headed in the right direction as an education sector.
I've attended some of your graduation ceremonies and some of programs for your school, and one thing that really comes out is the issue to do with talent. I see young girls, young boys singing, poem, rapping here and there. That's an in thing now, and I'm sure it'll be easy for your institution to suit in the new curriculum where they're talking about talent, skills as well. Move on to the 1.4 billion kwacha allocated to the Higher Education Loans and Scholarship Board. How would this impact students from poor families at Great North Road Academy, before I move on to Mr. Muyumba? Because I know you have brainy children at your school, and I remember not too long ago you had a program where you are identifying kids that are coming from vulnerable families, and you give them scholarships until they reach grade 12. But going beyond, it's something that they get stuck. But again, the Minister of Finance was here on the 26th of September announcing to the nation that he has put aside 1.4 billion kwacha. Do you think this is enough? And how students from Great North Road Academy going to tap in this for 1.4 billion kwacha and benefit?
Yeah, so education is an investment, and it is a serious investment. And if you look at the investment, normally as one goes higher in their learning, you find that even the cost is also on a very high side. It's also getting higher. So if you look at the tertiary, in the part of tertiary level, it's quite on a higher side. And I think for me, with this section, this is going to help quite a number of people. So we've been scanning around, like for instance, I'll tell you to say we run a foundation, and which foundation is dealing with a lot of boys out there. There are so many boys out there, and girls are like people who are not in school, but if you have a conversation with them, very brilliant, but they cannot manage because of the cost of higher education. So with this allocation now, we are likely to see quite a number of such people, brilliant people, and I think for me it increases even the chances of everyone receiving this education now, which I believe we are moving in the right direction. So education must be a right, and everyone must have this right to education, which is key to development, and also to generally as a nation to develop as a nation. So with this allocation, we are likely to see a number of those that are eligible but cannot manage to get into especially higher education. Okay. I think this is a plus on the part of the government.
Mr. Muyumba, being executive president of NUPE's 1.4 billion kwacha allocated to the Higher Education Loans and Scholarship Boards, how did your union receive this, and how best do you think government should decentralize this, or at least every child in Kwamugubudu should access these resources?
Thank you so much, President. I think if there's one thing we need to clap for the UPND government for is its investment for education. I think here we have a government that has realized that for us to develop, we need to invest in education. apart from the free education policy that we have been talking about, we see now that the children, even the poor out there, all they need is to concentrate on education. Because one day, if they have the results, if they have what it takes to enter that higher education institution, definitely they will go there, because it will be on merit and the monies have been made available for them to do just that. And that's what it means when you say education is an equalizer. So that even the child of a peasant farmer out there, the child of a fisherman out there, can as well become an engineer, can become an entrepreneur like Doc here. And that is what we need in this country. So even with this kind of allocation towards the scholarships and also loans, we need also to sensitize the children. Some of them might think it's difficult to break even or to break through. So what they need to understand is they need to work hard, and that this particular money, definitely we also have applauded the board in charge of the loans, because more often than not they have been publishing how these loans have been disbursed, and they are very transparent. So we need to encourage them to continue with the transparency and the accountability that they have shown. And it's true, decentralization is supposed to be done. Not only that, but also sensitization of the would-be beneficiaries, because mainly it's the parents of the children that are in town that may know that there's such a facility, and they'll be able to move around and ensure that their children access these loans and all that. But
from the union point of view, how best would you advise government to decentralize the disbursement of this 1.4 billion kwacha?
To a larger extent, I think we need to explore even the use of the constituencies, so that even at the constituency level there is an identification of these children that would qualify to get the loans and bursaries at the end of the day. It will be actually very difficult for somebody from Gubud, as you have indicated.
Access this 1.4 billion kwacha?
First and foremost, I would like to agree with what the President has said here. In that, yes, we have this 1.4 billion, but if you go out there, you find that the information is not as clear as it is supposed to be. And I interact with a number of people, both from the urban and also the rural community. And if you are to interview people in the rural communities, literally, even in terms of the budget, they don't know that there's such an allocation, and they don't know even how to access these funds. So there'll be need for a lot of sensitization, whether via social media, whether via television, and more especially like what the President has said here, using the constituencies, because constituencies are closer to the people. So using the constituencies, and equally if we are to use the constituencies, we need to depoliticize the process. Because most of these projects and the ideas are brilliant, they are very good on paper, but if they go to such levels, sometimes you find that they are politicized. Only maybe those that belong to maybe certain organizations, parties must access and all this. So we need to depoliticize so that each and every person will be able to access this. When you talk about education, it shouldn't be like, okay, this one who belongs, this one no. It is an equalizer. All of us must have equal access to such a water facility, but more on the part of sensitization, so that people will be able to know how to access these funds.
Mr. Myumba talked about briefly about education, free education, and maybe the question that I would want to pose to you is, have you seen any impact, positive or negative, from the time the New Dawn government introduced free education in terms of numbers in your campuses that you have across the country and beyond?
I want to say it came in as a blessing on the part of the private sector.
How?
In that, with this free education now, we have seen now that each and every child now is in what, in school. Before then, children were on the streets, yeah, but now each and every child is now in school. And because of that, now it has created so much pressure on the part of the public schools. There's so much pressure such that we are told some classes even have up to about 100 learners, which I believe the government is working on that. And with that, you find that now it has created now space, or maybe can I say it has helped the private sector, in that those who feel to say they cannot fit in such an environment, they would rather they take their children to private schools, where at least with private schools we are able to regulate numbers, and equality we are still managing. So I want to say it came in as a blessing in disguise, because as private schools, yes, we are there to educate, but at the same time we are in business, and as we are in business, numbers do count. So yeah, in a nutshell,
how best can you advise the Zambian government the best way to run the free education, because it has come with a lot of challenges here and there in terms of let's acknowledge some of the text messages that we've received. I know earlier on I was talking to Ron, Member of Parliament, but he's left, but we'll be able to channel some of the questions. And it's very important to note that some people were writing some text messages regarding the earlier discussion that I had with Ron, Member of Parliament. So let's just read the 3 or 4 text messages specifically for Ron, Member of Parliament, and I'm getting an indication that he's watching and following. The first one is coming from Richard Gondwe from Luansha. The government has done well, and many children have gone back to school because of the free education. Thanks a lot. That's Richard Gondwe from Luansha. Thank you so much, Richard Gondwe, for that text message all the way from Ron Parliamentary Constituency. Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank the government for recruiting teachers. I would like to know when the government is going to recruit more teachers, because the year is almost done. Thank you so much. No name there. The budget is insufficient for education sector. I don't know why the government is not considering our mother body of all careers in the world. A teacher must be paid more than any civil servant in the country. Take a look at Uganda, Switzerland, and other nations, and see how a teacher is more important. Thank you so much for that text message. The other text message reads, a teacher must be paid more than MPs. Teachers get more loans because the salaries are too low. I have many things to say, but consider our teachers. Please increase their salaries to avoid them getting loans unnecessarily. Thank you so much. Make sure that you add your name, like what Joe Leo from Chadizas indicated there. Government should consider increasing teachers' salaries, and they are the genesis of success. Thank you so much, Joe Leo. And Tom from Section 2 in Ron, and just be assured that the Ron Member of Parliament is watching and following. Good morning. Kudos to Honorable Chibuye. Ron is well represented. Thank you so much, Tom from Section 2 in Ron Parliamentary Constituency. You've heard those concerns, you being the union. Salaries for teachers. What are you doing to make sure that teachers are given a fair pay?
I might surprise or shock you, President, that notwithstanding that I'm a unionist, I'm one person that has always asked the question, how much is enough? Even when we go for negotiations, because it's important at times to be realistic. It's very possible, President, to finish negotiations, they agree with government that we give the workers 10,000 across the board. Immediately you reach home, you are told, okay, a bag of mini meal is now at 1,000. A packet of sugar is at 500,
which is
and all that. Let's talk about inflation.
Okay, let's get to reality, but not
so what we need. Yes, what we need to remember, President, there was a time when Michael Sata, may he so rest in peace, increased the salaries in 2013 thereabout. In some cases, more than 100%. But it took just a few months thereafter. People started complaining. What is wrong and what has been wrong? The issue of not managing the fundamentals of the economy. When the cost of living is high, no matter what you do with salaries, President, it will still be high. So you work on the economy. When you work on the economy, you're increasing the value of the money that you are taking home. I can tell you that if the dollar to kwacha or kwacha to dollar is as it is now, then everything is increased to maybe $1 10 kwacha. Just that will make someone buy a car without difficulties. Will make one go and import whatever they want to import. This is what we're talking about. But if you leave things just loosish, everything is loose, this is where we are, because the economy is not doing fine. The cost of living is high. So we are going for negotiations. But government as well can do only as much. They can't go outside what they can manage, because this particular wage bill is as a result of what they get from taxes and other things. So if they come up with a wage bill that they cannot sustain, how are they going to pay the salaries? How are they going to manage?
So how much have you been advocating for these teachers that you represent? How much is a decent pay for you as NUPES?
If you ask me that question, I'll tell you that
all scenarios,
all things being equal, the least should have been getting about 15,000. The least should have been getting about 15,000. Then you can say things are better, as it were. But I can tell you that that is about.
But we do have other competing needs. We need medicine in hospitals. We need to work on the roads. We need also to pay debt. There are quite a number of competing needs.
This is what I'm saying.
So you think 15,000 is?
No. I'm talking about if we were to be fair, if we were to reach a point where everybody feels they are well remunerated, then the least should go home not with less than 15,000. This is what we are talking about. But that's not possible if we were to talk about that. That would amount to increasing the salaries by 10,000.
Okay, let's move to Dr. Siatwambo. How are you contributing in terms of helping the Zambian government? You coming from the private sector, what role are you playing in supporting education in this country?
Quite a number of areas, Pausent. Of course, employment. We are talking about employment briefly here, which we've done pretty well. I would have mentioned the statistics here in terms of numbers, but we are trying by all means to cushion the high unemployment, situation in this country by bringing in quite a number of them as we are expanding. And apart from that, also with the private sector, we are at liberty to programs. I'll give you an example of the new curriculum. As we implemented it way back, actually we started implementing it way back, and some of the concepts that have been added in the new curriculum actually were birthed from the private sector, because as we had already started way back. So I want to say, as a private sector, we've been quite instrumental when it comes to the development of our education system, in that we start a number of these programs, and as we start these programs, we sell these ideas to the government, and even the government is able to do what? To monitor. So somehow we are a mean pilot, project of some kind, where we run these projects and then they are able to observe, and then from there we submit, like it was done with the new curriculum. And of course, even in terms of quality education, I want to say we've been taking the lead as a private sector, and this has helped quite a lot, especially on the part of the provincial country.
As the private educators in India by the Ministry of Education for consultation, having seminars and meetings, looking at what you've highlighted here, or there's some rapport that you engage with the Ministry of Education?
We are part and parcel of the ministry. So we are part and parcel of the ministry, and we've been engaging the ministry. They've been engaging us at different levels altogether. And I want to say consultations have been going on. Whenever there are programs, we are part and parcel of that. Even the new curriculum, when it was being engineered, we were part and parcel. We were consulted, and even when it came to implementation, we've been running in the background, because our teachers are part and parcel of the system as well. So they've been attending, these workshops, and equally, the ministry also has been attending to some of our programs. So there's been that, interlearning and also exchange of information. And I want to say the relationship, especially under this government, has been pretty good. We are working so well, and you have seen even our minister, I think, and equally the PSS, attending even some of these, private schools meetings, and also ventures that we've had at where there are no challenges at all. And I want to say this is quite encouraging, very encouraging, especially on our part as private schools. Mr.
Myumba, I know some monks and monks at the University of Zambia are watching to this program and listening to this program. A number of years have passed, and at just next year at the Great East Road campus, University of Zambia, the hostels have stalled for so many years, and Dr. Siatwambo keeps on producing students with good grades, 6 points, 7 points, 8 points, 9 points, but where to live, and seeing young people just renting across Kalingalinga, others are in Chadley, Olympia. What could be your advice to the Ministry of Education vis-a-vis the stalled accommodation at both campuses, Ridgeway and Great East Road? Not too long ago, the Republican president was at both campuses just to inspect and gave a deadline that these hostels should be done come next year.
Yeah, I think it's important when the president gives a directive to immediately start running on the side. Houses, and the boarding houses are far much more expensive than the rooms at the university. So when these are completed, when these are done finally, we are going to see that these children will be saving a lot of money and not simply spending so much on accommodation.
Do you think the 2.3 billion kwacha is enough for infrastructure? Because that one encompasses other universities as well in terms of boarding facility, hostels, both at Ridgeway and Great East Road campus.
It's not enough, but if this is simply the point of departure, as we go on every year, there should be an allocation, then it will be enough ultimately. But if this is a one-off payment, then it won't be enough. Unless we say even in the 2027 budget, we should see an allocation to again the same hostels that we're talking about. Okay. Because at the end of the day, that is a very huge project and it calls for a lot of money.
All right, let's get to our SMS facility and see if we do have some SMSs that people have been sending in. Remember, the number that we're using is 0978772801. That's 0978772807. That's the number that we are using. But still, we can also go to our Facebook page and let us know where you're watching us from. If you have any question or contribution, feel free to get in touch with us via the platform. It could be the YouTube channel, the National Assembly of Zambia, and the Facebook page of Zambia. Let me get to Dr. Rosias. What really stood out from the 2026 national budget that was pronounced by the Minister of Education for the private sector?
For the private sector, we are excited. We are very happy, especially when it comes to the implementation of the new curriculum, because that's what we've been championing, and more especially now. Like I've stated earlier, to say the implementation of a new program is never cheap at all, and it requires so much, financial muscle support, and seeing an allocation in that direction, I think it's in the right direction. So I want to say that is very exciting. And also, of course, if you talk about also the allocation, towards students' loans, that's the right move as well. So many people out there, like I've mentioned earlier, who are out there and brilliant, and they have very good grades, but they are unable to, access, higher education. So if we can have a number of them, being pushed into the system, this will be very much exciting. And I want to say, as a private, sector, we are very excited when it comes to those two key areas.
You have two jackets, both private and, and public. But before you respond to what stood out for NUPES in the 2026 national budget that the Minister of Finance announced on the 26th of September, which is pledged at 33 billion kwacha towards the education sector. Let me acknowledge the people that I'm with on Facebook page, and Benson Billiant Kachembo. You are saying you sought the discussion, Mr. President. It should be that those are kudos for you, Mr. President. And Mukalebai Mukumbuta, you are saying well articulated, my leader. Chisanga Fanwell Ponde Jr., you are saying the articulation is top-notch. We need such union leaders. Thank you so much. I think those are some of the texts, the Facebook messages that we've received. What stood out for you as NUPES?
I agree with Doc. The issue of the implementation of the revised curriculum, because at the end of the day, if we simply on paper start talking about migrating from memorization to practicality, but on the ground we don't have the tools, we don't have the equipment, then as well this particular teacher will be drawing things on the board. This is a beaker, this is a thermometer, this is a clamp stand, but these things are nowhere to be seen. And as well, the children will be copying them in their books. So they knock off without seeing what a beaker looks like, a thermometer, mention them. But here we need to have the tools and the equipment to use so that the children can have that first-hand experience with these tools. And that's the only way they can use them even in real life situations. Apart from that, I think I would like also to talk about the issue of the 166 secondary schools that are supposed to be commissioned in 2026. Monies have been allocated to that. This is important because we are talking about decongesting these schools. The free education has brought all the children to school, those that were in homes. You are talking about millions of them, about 2 million. So there is pressure on the existing infrastructure. And if these schools are commissioned, then we are going to see that most of these schools will have a breather. The classrooms will have the number that we need, because at the end of the day, education is not supposed to be just free, it should also be of quality. And you cannot have quality education in a room where you have more than 100 learners. This particular teacher will be beleaguered or beset by the kind of work that they will be required to do at the end of the day. You can imagine you are teaching English language and you give a composition. You tell the children a page and a half, and there are 120 in that classroom. You need, as you mark, to pay attention to punctuation, to grammar, to spellings and other things. When are you going to finish marking those books? And yet you have other classes that you are supposed to teach. So the decongestion in terms of creating more schools is something that has warmed our hearts, Poset.
Okay. Now, how do you, as NUPES, going to work with the government to ensure that the education budget is effectively utilized and meets the needs of teachers and pupils? I know we concentrate much on teachers, more especially as unions. We neglect the child in school.
Yes.
Because you be heard all over talking about good salaries for teachers, good allowances for teachers, working house accommodation for teachers, but neglecting why teachers are there, and these are pupils.
Yeah, the good part is that the system, Ministry of Education, accommodates unions at each and every level in terms of decision making. So starting from the unit, the school itself, we have got representation there, and teachers are involved. It could be to do with funds, to do with discipline, to do with preventive maintenance, production unit, mention them. There are committees there. Even at district level, the structure is the same. When it comes to the province, it's the same. At national level here, we also meet the PS, the minister, to sit down and look at how much has been allocated and how it should be appropriated. Even as the money is being sent there, instructions are clear. So we get, to participate. We are part and parcel of the system.
Okay.
Then when it comes to teachers, I know some are saying concentration has been mainly on the learner and the system to the exclusion of the teacher. The teacher has not been paid attention to, has not been remunerated the way they are supposed to be remunerated.
Isn't it the opposite?
No, it's not the opposite. It's the way it is now. Because, for example, there are issues to do with upgrades. You know, teachers have furthered education, they have attained higher qualifications, but they have remained still in lower salary scales. So you find a situation where I've been teaching for years, and I taught some children 10 years ago. They graduated, they went to university. They have come back as degree holders. Once I'm also a degree holder, only that I'm being paid as a diploma holder, because I entered the system with a diploma. So the child that I taught 10 years ago comes back as a teacher and is in a higher scale than I am. We are in the same department. So that to a very large extent dampens the morale of that particular teacher.
But I'm talking about who's currently in school, not somebody that has graduated. I think you have more teeth to bite on aspirations for teachers, not the pupil.
No, I'm talking about how the morale of the teacher has been dampened. Because you are saying, isn't it that there's more concentration on the teacher than the learner? So I'm talking about how this particular teacher has been disadvantaged to a large extent.
Okay.
And this issue of upgrades has actually stalled for quite some time. We have been kicking the can down the road without any progress being made. But this time I sit here to assure the teachers that there is a lot of progress that is being made. However, we don't want to sound the way we've been sounding always. We cannot talk much once everything is sealed and is agreed on. And we feel even before the end of the year, this is going to be done. To the happiness and probably celebration of the teachers.
Doc, we've seen massive recruitment of teachers across the country. And I'm sure this has had a huge, as good as it sounds, but it's got a huge impact on private participants in the education sector, more especially like Great North Road Academy. Teachers, once they are employed, given a salary, there's a shift. They want to go into government. How have you managed to stabilize your institution? I know government has been on record employing various teachers across the countries, but how has that impacted you? It could be positively or negatively.
Well, those of us who are in business are critical thinkers. We think, business way, and we are aware. We are very much aware, and of what the impact and the number of schools have cried foul each time the government employs. But there's always a way to do it, because in business we are taught to find a way, and as such we have always put, we put measures in place in an event as such. What is it that we're going to do? And what we're trying to do, I don't know about other schools, what we have tried to do is to make sure that even our conditions are so attractive. And you may be you may not have been aware about this, but with Great North Road Academy we've done quite a lot, even in terms of offering loans. We've become one of the schools which is offering loans from within, empowerment funds, and we have also a situation where our members are allowed to run businesses within the school. The others have businesses, and the empowerment fund is helping them run these businesses and also achieve some of their dreams. So there's quite a lot that we are doing so that our conditions are very, very attractive, and as such you find that our members have no appetite of jumping into the government. Our retention levels are so high, and I want to say we haven't been affected so much even in the past, and we still have our members in terms of retention. We are good. One or two may have left, but we are intact because we run based on a system, and we haven't had any problems. So
I do have about 4 text messages that I'll be reading a little later, but before I do that, as we wind up, Mr. Muyuba, you've talked about your wish is to have these teachers getting paid about 15,000 or thereabout. But once government announces that they are recruiting teachers, and we see massive movement, a mass movement of applications, people trying, even from the private sector. We just heard from Dr. Siatwambo. He must put measures in place. But there are other schools that have not put in place some certain measures, that the retention level is high. You're trying to portray a picture like it's not all rosy in government because the conditions are so bad. But why do we see a lot of applications and people moving from the private sector? I ask this question because you are both private and public union.
Thank you so much.
Maybe just under a minute, so at least we can read some text messages and we conclude.
Kudos to Doc here. I think the system that he has put in place assures this particular teacher that all is well. And I've served on some boards in private schools. We've seen teachers migrating from private schools to government. At times, percent is not how much you are giving somebody, but how you treat them. Because at the end of the day, this particular person must have security. So if you knock off as the proprietor, you are everything actually. You are the director there, you are the accountant, you are everything. Even your child who is in grade 10, you knock off in that office. Even ordering teachers around. You bring me what I drink and all that. No respect to teachers. So no matter how much you pay them, there's no one that would want to be tossed around like that. They would want to go where there is what we can call respect and probably security. Because this particular person can be removed anytime. When it comes to talking to teachers, it's about harassing them, shouting at them, and all that. No one would want to stay in such an environment. So even as a union that deals with private schools, we've been sensitizing these schools.
But you still agree with me that government is still a better option, regardless of whatever issues that you've raised?
No, but there are some private schools
like great which school has ever sent teachers to Dubai?
Let's get to your text message. It's getting interesting here. The number that you're using, if you wish to be part and parcel of today's presentation of the 2026 post-budget analysis, is 0978-772801. We do have somebody there with no name. How much is percentages? How much in percentages is the increment next year approximately? Sichilima Matthews from Kasama. Thank you so much, Sichilima. Good morning. A lot needs to be done in the education sector. First, teacher-pupil ratio must be reduced. Teachers need well remunerated there. Thank you so much. No name again. Another lengthy text message. The budget is insufficient. A teacher can be anything, but not anything can be a teacher. If you want a teacher to produce a quality learners, please increase their salaries. Go abroad and see how the teachers are respected. Consider and reliable. Check in those nations like Switzerland, Canada, Netherlands, Australia, the Germany there as well. Thank you so much for text message. Good morning, please. A way to inform people in the rural areas like Sinazongwe about free education. There is very little information about it. Thank you so much, Joseph, for the text message. Let's see if we do have another text message. That one was coming from Sinazongwe. It seems like we're done for those text messages that we've received. Would you maybe, Doc, to quickly comment on any of the text messages that we've received?
Yeah, I've seen the issue of ratio, pupil ratio. It's quite crucial, and like from what the president has said, and also if you look at the budget, I believe the government is trying to do what to address that. And I think with the pronouncement that now there's free education, we anticipate that pressure, because now everyone who was on the streets is in school. And I think it needs to be given a bit of some time, and with time this is going to settle. But the most important thing is we must be happy that every child is now in school, which is key and also very, very important.
What ratio at your school?
It's 40 to 1 teacher, 40 to 1.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick comment on the text messages as we conclude?
Yes, I saw one asking about the percentage in terms of
the increment for next year.
Yeah, the budget itself does not contain that. Yeah, so that is going to be the preserve of the collective bargaining units, even as they go to negotiate. And negotiations may be starting next year. So once negotiations are concluded, then the workers...
What percentage would you advocate for as a union? Both public and private?
This may not be the right...
No, I'm just asking. We can speculate.
Yeah, we can speculate, but remember, I'm a very key stakeholder when it comes to negotiations. And if I'm to come out like that here publicly, it may actually jeopardize even the process, because we have already submitted the demand paper to a tight process. It has to be legally protected. So here I might not come like that.
All right, as we come to the end of today's presentation of this interesting conversation that we've had, I'll start with you, Mr. Muyumba. Our topic today has been the 33 billion kwacha. Is it sufficient for Zambia's education sector?
It's not sufficient, but it's a very good point of departure in meeting the education sector, so that because as I indicated, development is not an event, it's a process. But as it is now, it's enough. It's not sufficient, but it's enough to start the process with.
Your membership should look straight in the camera and wish them a happy 61 independence and what they should expect in 2026.
Thank you so much. And as members, our members, we wish you happy 61st independence anniversary. And remember, this country depends on us. We are the ones that can. Let's always think about those that fought for us. They wanted us to do what we can and what we want for ourselves. And we can only do so if we work hard. At the end of the day, it's about productivity. We report early, we do what we are supposed to sleep. We try to go through our day. Have we achieved what we intended to achieve as our up? That's the only way we are going to also improve our economy. Thank you so much.
Dr. Siatwambo, coming from Great North Road group of companies right here in Lusaka City, is, from a private point of view, and a scholar, a researcher, 33 billion kwacha allocated to the education sector in 2026. Enough. As you conclude, I also want you to look in the camera and just wish Zambians. You've impacted on so many lives in our country, and not too long ago, just before the program, one of our interns, he was telling me, oh, is my director is coming for the program, I'm a former pupil at Great North Road. So that's how huge your impact has gone.
Well, 33 billion is not enough, but one thing, positive thing is we are seeing a number of positive elements within the 33 billion, which shows, commitment on the part of the government. We mentioned earlier, we're talking about, the loans, we're talking about the new curriculum. So there's so much consideration of, a number of areas within the 33 billion. And more especially that there's progress. For me, if it had been static, like, the way it was. So there's an improvement from last year. So it shows to say we are moving, and moving in a positive direction, right direction. Thank you so much.
Independence. Yes. Students and teachers are watching.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I would like to wish Zambians a happy 61st independence, and also I would like to wish our students out there, pupils out there, and more especially the Great North Road Academy team, and also pupils, a happy 61st independence. Let's celebrate and let's enjoy the celebration. We love you all. Thank you so much.
All right, there you have it, Mr. Muyumba. Thank you so much. You are all weather friend. Whenever we call on you, we knock on your door, you're always available for such very important discussion. And Doc, I've been knocking on your door. You've been busy all over, but finally you had to find time and squeeze yourself on very important discourse that we've had, and wishing you all the best as you continue expanding as a Great North Road group of companies.
Thank you so much.
All right, our viewers and our listeners, wherever you are, thank you so much for your time. And I must say, we've had a great time discussing the 33 billion kwacha that has been allocated to the education sector. And the question was, is that amount sufficient to cushion or answer to the aspirations of the education sector in Zambia? The budget, expanded planning and budgeting committee has been sitting, and shortly they'll be receiving submissions from various stakeholders today at 9:30 thereabout. And my name is Paulson Tindovi. On behalf of my earlier guest that I had, that's Mr. George Buye, Member of Parliament for Ron. We had a conversation with him and looking at how his constituents will benefit from the 33 billion kwacha allocated to the education sector, and also concluded the program with Dr. Rosia Siatwambo, Chief Executive Officer from Great North Road group of companies, and Mr. Victor Muyumba, who is the executive president from the National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia. My name is Paulson Jindogo, on behalf of my son, language interpreter, that's Chola Kauma. Thank you so much for your time, and let's do this tomorrow on the eve of Independence Day.
Entertained anytime, anywhere with DSTV Stream. First, download the DSTV Stream app from your app store. Sign up and create your multi-choice ID with your email, number, and password. Link your DSTV account to your customer number. Choose SMS or email verification. Confirm with the OTP sent to you. Download the DSTV Stream app now and never miss a moment.
There are moments in our lives that live forever. Moments like witnessing the thunderous call of a natural wonder, or experiencing the roar of the wilderness as its residents come to life, and the lively sliver of a river teeming with untamed wildlife. There are moments in our lives that live forever. Moments like experiencing the adrenaline rush of close encounters with nature's thrills. The exquisite indulgence of luxurious trees kissed by the radiance of the African sky. The rhythmic movement of a people in celebration, whose tranquility and peace touch the hearts of those they encounter. There are moments in our lives that live forever. Many of them begin here. Zambia, one destination, a million adventures. Zambia, let's explore.
Transform your office, retail, or branch space with DSTV for Business. Add top entertainment at great value with one of our DSTV work packages, the Ultra or Essential, and create a welcoming and informative setting with cutting-edge news, business, sports, lifestyle, music channels, and much more. Contact us today and let our experts guide you in selecting the perfect package. When it comes to entertainment, DSTV for Business is your ultimate partner.
My eParliament mobile application. First, download the app on either Play Store or App Store and install. After installation, open the app. Step 1. Register your personal information, that's your names, gender, NRC, and date of birth. Step 2. Add your contact information, your email, phone number, and home address. Step 3. Select your constituency. Step 4. Create your 4-digit PIN. At this point, the system will send an SMS to your mobile number with a one-time passcode. Step 5. Confirm with one-time passcode that was sent to your mobile. Step 6. Sign in using your phone number and the 4-digit PIN. And Step 7. Create your submission and submit. My e-Parliament, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Whether you run a hotel, lodge or guest house, keep your guests entertained and coming back for more with DSTV for Business. Our DSTV stay package options match your needs and budget. Make your visitor stay unforgettable with the best channels for sport, blockbuster movies and series, kids inspiration, lifestyle, documentaries, news and more. Contact us today and let your guests for business at its best. TV for Business.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come.